to welcome to everybody who's joined us, including councillors of the committee, cabinet members and officers. I'm going to move straight away to the agenda, and the first item on the agenda is apologies for absence. I'm not aware of anybody unless somebody in the room has apologies to give, so I'll just give an opportunity if there's anybody got apologies to give. No, we are quorate at this moment in time, but obviously there are a few councillors missing, but I'm assuming they will join us in view of no apologies as we continue through the meeting. Item 2 on the agenda is disclosure of interest. Anybody got any disclosures in relation to today's agenda? And similarly at item 3, declarations of party whip. Anybody got anything to give there? Members, judging on your silence, no declarations at item 2 on the agenda or 3 on the agenda. Item 4 on the agenda is the minutes of our previous meeting of the 11th of July. The pages 5 to 18 in the agenda pack. Members, are there any comments on those minutes? There's a new format in the minutes, which I find very good. So thank you to our Democratic Services team for initiating that. Anything that anybody wishes to pick up on the minutes before I ask for a proposal to sign them? No. Can I have
sorry, Chair, I did have my hand up.
Oh, sorry. I'm working on one screen today. Sorry, Angela.
No problem. Just to say, I'm happy with the minutes and happy to approve those, but just wanted for the minutes to make reference to the point we made some recommendations there. Our meeting was on the 11th of September. Just wanted to check with officers if we could when they went to cabinet, because I think it's useful if we note when we should get the responses by.
Yeah, 11th of July, not 11th of September.
No, sorry, 11th of July was our meeting. Yeah, so 11th of September would be 8 weeks later, but actually it's 8 weeks from cabinet.
From cabinet, yes.
Yeah, so when would that be, Kath?
Oh, I think it might have been the last cabinet meeting off the top of my head. I'll have to come back to you, Councillor Angela, but yes, it was later in the month.
But that was all. I just felt it was useful if we note when the recommendations are due back.
You know, that's a good comment. Obviously, they have to respond to them recommendations within so many working days. Yeah, so we need to keep an eye on that. Councillor Gareth.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Like Angela, I'm happy to second the minutes when you're ready. But just on page 6, there's a statement there said that a revised action plan was going to be sent to Estim before the end of the academic year, and I just wanted confirmation that was done.
Good point. Anybody can give the clarification there?
Yes, Chair, I can give clarification that was actually sent at the end of the summer term ahead of the deadline that the inspectorate had set for us. So yeah, that's completed.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Members, about a proposer and a seconder for the minutes. Are you all in favour that those minutes are signed as a true and correct record?
Yes.
Angela, is that a legacy hand, yeah? Yeah, okay. Right, members, those minutes will be signed as a true and correct record. Members, we move... Yes,
can I say something? I'm sorry, but Angela knows I've been in touch with her this morning because I couldn't access my computer properly. The net consent thing that comes up wouldn't remove. That's all I could see. And it wouldn't remove. So Angela gave me the name of the IT, who to get in touch with. Well, they did it. But when I open my computer, when I opened to come on this meeting, it's still there and I can't remove it. The only way I will be able to do it is to go back and ring the number. So if I do need to say anything, can I just shout, quietly say, I'd like to make a comment or something?
I'm more than happy for that.
All I can see is the net consent and a picture in behind it, which is
Okay.
blurred, and I can't put a hand up or anything because it's no good going back now. I was ages with
Well,
them
Margaret,
sorting it before.
I understand the dilemma you have, and you seem to have gone through the mill with your IT problems, to be fair.
Yes.
Yeah, but again,
So just to say, it's
yeah,
fine.
no,
Yeah.
you interrupt when you like. I'm more than happy for that to happy. That declares the minutes. Thanks for that information, Margaret. Fully understand that. Councillor Clare.
Sorry, Chair, it was just to say that I wasn't actually on Learning and Skills Scrutiny Committee in July. This is my first meeting, so I can't, I don't know whether I have to abstain on the minutes or because obviously I don't know if they're a true record or not. So I have no issue with the content, but don't want to be seen to be endorsing minutes that I wasn't in the
Okay.
meeting for. That's all.
I
Thank you.
understand that comment, and it was remiss of me not to welcome you to our meeting and look forward to you contributing to moving forward. Welcome, Claire. We're a
Thank
good
you.
bunch, and we certainly welcome your input into learning and skills. Thank you. Members, we move on now to our scrutiny items, two substantive items today. Before we deal with them, members in the pre-meeting mentioned to you that some of the agenda items have been pulled. One was oh, I'm recovering from memory now. One was
Schools formula, Chair.
school funding formula and also
School funding
leadership.
formula, leadership and development, recruitment, retention, Chair.
Yeah, no, those are the two documents that have been pulled from the agenda with the new ways of working now and under directions from Audit Wales in relation to items such as this. We request an explanation why these agenda items had to be removed from our agenda and the reasoning behind that, please. I don't know who's going to give that update on that, really. Sarah and Richard. I'll take you first, Sarah, because your hand was up first. Welcome, Sarah.
Morning. I didn't know if Richard wanted to come in first, but I can certainly answer around the school funding formula paper if that's okay.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely fine.
So the timeline has just been reviewed and the documentation will be presented to the school budget forum for the first time next week. So that's the first port of call for that documentation. And then my understanding is that the outcome of any consultation always comes to scrutiny. And
Okay, look, Sarah, I understand that. I'm going to challenge you on that one a little
Okay.
bit. Yes, that this has been put in our work program. We were fully aware of the timescales involved. What would be the problem of it coming to scrutiny before the school, for the funding formula? We could perhaps add some value to it before it went to the formula group.
Absolutely noted, Chair. It's just being finalised, ready for that first meeting next week. Final tweaks to the documentation.
Councillor Gareth.
Yeah, I was going to say perhaps we could be sent the Gantt chart, the timeline for the review program, so we know which of our meetings is going to come to, Chair.
Okay, yeah, no, that would be useful.
Perfect.
So that we can get that into our work program, yeah.
Absolutely, Chair.
Councillor Sue, we see your problems. Councillor Sue's having problems with connectivity. And the document, leadership development, teacher recruitment and retention. Is there somebody who wishes to comment why that's not before us today?
Yeah, Chair, thank you. I'll comment on that. When we looked at that paper, because of the volume of recruitment that takes place in schools in the summer term, when we looked at the data we had, there were too many gaps to bring a really strong paper forward. So we have put it at a future date when we will have the information from summer term recruitment and staffing levels in schools as of September. That also aligns with the data we have about the uptake around the MPQH programme and middle leader development programmes, which we run as an authority, which again, we had gaps in at the end of the summer term. So the decision was taken on the basis that we wanted to bring a paper forward with a good evidence base, which we didn't have.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Richard. Are there anybody got any further comment on those two comments which have been made by Sarah and Dr. Richard?
My only comment would, and I accept those reasonings of why the papers wouldn't come now, but that's not new information that we wouldn't have known when the papers were put forward for scrutiny originally. So in the work programming meetings, do these things to be ironed out? Because you would have known what information you do and don't have. And it's perhaps at that point, it shouldn't have come on the agenda then. So are we risking putting things on an agenda too soon?
Dr. Richard, I'll bring you back in. I do share Councillor Angela's viewpoint, and the difficulty we have, we as a scrutiny committees, and not just learning and skills, we get criticised by Audit Wales in relation to the governance, and this again is causing us a few problems. So I share Councillor Angela's comments really. Dr. Richard.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Angela. I think your observation is an accurate one. We have done a piece of work over the summer looking at the Education Service Combined Forward Work Programme, and also how the papers which come through the Combined Forward Work Programme also interact with our Accelerated Improvement Board. The point you make, I think, is absolutely right. And the work we're doing at the moment is to make sure that we're bringing the right papers forward at the right time. And I'll make sure that I keep in conversation and keep the chair of scrutiny updated around that.
Okay, I think enough conversation surrounding that. We'll move on to our first agenda item today, our substantive agenda item, which is our school asset management plan. So I will go to the portfolio holder first of all, if he'd like to introduce this and bring officers in to take us through this plan, please. Councillor Pete.
Thank you, Chair. This is the school's asset management plan is one of the key components that we have within the operational side of the service. It outlines the development works that are being undertaken as part of our more significant but still routine maintenance work. The portfolio holder lead actually resides with a different portfolio holder, but remaining with the leader as it is at the moment, and he's on leave today. So I'm going to pass over to Marianne Evans, who takes the lead on managing this programme within the service, to take you through the document.
Thank you, Councillor Pete. Bore da, Marianne.
Bore da. Bore da, pawb. Right, I'm really pleased to be able to present this, the revised schools asset management plan to you this morning. It replaces the one that's been in place for the last 5 years. It's a simpler plan. It has been jointly developed by colleagues in property service and in the education service. And I'm going to take a moment just to say that this is a very strong working relationship between both services. A phenomenal amount of work has taken place over the summer holiday period, and we will be sharing that information with everybody once we have the final count, so to speak. But I just wanted to put it on record, a big thanks to the strategic property team for their massive commitment and the work that they put in over the summer. And I'm going to share that with the school community as well. So the plan here is a simpler plan than the previous one, but it sets out our strategic approach to managing our schools estate, of which, you know, we're all very familiar with the issues facing our ageing school estate. It's written to take account of the changing landscape, the changing environment that we find ourselves in financially, but also educationally, socially. It takes account of the changing requirements for environmental and economic approaches as well, and also aligned very much with community and community-focused schools agenda. It includes within it our strategic objectives, and we can have a discussion around those, and our strategic approach to managing the schools estates programme. And I'll say point here. Our approach is based on developing a proactive planning approach based very strongly on evidence and data, so that we're able to prioritise where where the funding is invested to support our schools. And another point is whilst we need to be proactive in terms of developing our plans for investing in our schools, there also needs to be, we need to be mindful of having a more flexible and reactive approach as well, because we all know things happen in our schools and we need to be able to address those things swiftly and quickly. So we have to bear that in mind as we develop our programme. Toward the end of it, we get to the section on implementation and delivery, and there you can see how the programme is governed and assurances around that one, and which programmes deliver which areas. And then at the end, there's an appendix which outlines how programmes are prioritised, the criteria and methodology around that as well. I'm pleased to say I've got colleagues on the call today. So from Corporate Property, Neil is here, and I think William is here as well. So happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Marianne. Neil or Gwilym, do you want to add anything to that before I go to questions?
Yeah, I'd just like to add, I think, thank you, Marianne, for the compliments around my team. My team have done an exceptional amount of work over the summer holidays. There's a spreadsheet available. We'll get that out to you all today just to give you an indication of the amount of work that's been put through the system during these summer holidays, with a lot of staff not taking leave as well through the summer to make sure the safeguarding works and so forth are in place to protect our learners and our teaching staff. So I'd just like to place on record my thanks to my team for that as well. So yeah, that's all I have for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil. Councillor Gareth has raised his hand.
Yeah, can I say I think this is a good first start for a schools asset management plan, but to me, it just gives the bones and the skeleton. I just want to know what the next steps are. Are we going to flesh this out? Are we going to see what the target dates are, what KPIs you're looking at, what measures, etc., and what data we're going to have? You know, this is like almost like a thesis, and we now need to have it fleshed out. And perhaps Marianne can give us an idea of what the next steps and how this is going to be communicated with schools, etc. Neil knows I've been asking around school individual data for 2.5 years now, since extra money was given to the service to create them, and we've still had nothing over that 30 months. So just perhaps an update on that.
Thank you. Neil, you've raised your hand.
Hi all. Yes, Councillor Gareth has been pushing me quite intensely to release the information. We do have surveys for all the whole of the school estate. That's both condition survey and sustainability surveys. We've brought information together, so every school now has a condition survey that gives them an easy read profile of their school, what the backlog maintenance is, and what the sustainability elements would be if we should put them in the schools, PV, LED lighting, and so forth, with costs as well. So my reluctance to release the information has been based on I need a strategic approach, because I don't want to release all the information in one foul swoop without my management team giving clear direction on that, because obviously there'll be politics, there'll be some sensitivity around some of that information. To be clear, there's over £100 million worth of backlog maintenance throughout our schools estate. I don't want to release every bit of information to every school right now until I've got a strategic approach to do that, because the press will be writing in, everybody will want a proposal for how we review that backlog maintenance in line with the transformation of the education service as well. So the information is there, it's clear, it's concise, it's easy to read. I just want management team and Marianne and leadership teams to give us the direction to release that information.
But with all due respect, Neil, the backlog maintenance on schools estate has been over 100 million for the last 15, 20 years. You know, that's not going to be a surprise to anybody out in the schools community. And I think we just need to get the data out to schools so we can actually check it. You know,
no,
I'm not questioning the quality of the officers done the work, but I know that there are members who will question it. So we just need to make sure we get that in that timeline.
I fully understand, Councillor, and I think as soon as I get the direction to release the information, we will do so. I think what we've been nervous of to a certain extent is if I say one school's got 700,000, I don't think we've had to date a clear picture saying school X has got £700,000 worth of defects or dilapidations that need to be resolved to this point in time, and now we've got that for every school. So I think that's been our primary concern. I'm fighting everybody off, really.
Yeah, Councillor Allard.
Thank you, Chair. Slightly different tangent from what Gareth was talking about there. I'm just going back to the strategic objectives. We've got the financial sustainability, the financial sustainability, suitability, sufficiency, sustainability, and huge areas of work there. All the documents linked in this paper are sort of for the longest one I think is about 5 or 6 years looking forward. But when we look at the vision of how the school should be, is any consideration being given to the longer term when it comes to building new schools? Are our assets, the schools, in the right places? Does this cover those sort of areas as well? I don't think we're looking at slightly in medium term. The 140 million backlog, it'll never get solved in the next 5 years. But it's that linkage between the new builds and where the assets are at present. Because many people say we've got too many high schools in Powys and we're spreading our resources too thinly. Does this... We need a vision for the education for Powys to sit alongside this so we can judge whether this is suitable or not.
I'm going to help Aled with this a little bit because it was one of the questions which I was going to ask. So basically, does your policy, Neil, align with Vision 25 and the school organisation policy?
The information will be, I think Marianne's best place to answer the transformation side. Our information will be used by the teams to help with the transformation work they have going on at the moment. In reality, I think that the data we have now is a true reflection of the school estate. We've never had this amount of information, so I think the information is valid and it will allow Marianne and her team to look at the structure of the learning environments across Powys to make them decisions.
Yeah, can I come in there? Just to say that this strategic asset management plan serves a purpose to outline strategically how we are approaching essentially the management of our schools estate. It is very much aligned to the transforming education strategy and the programme there. Both things have to go hand in hand. I would say that this strategic asset management plan is for more of the short to medium term planning, while the transformation strategy is far longer term, but both are aligned. And you can see from there that, suitability, sufficiency, sustainability, those are key things in our transformation programme as well. So I would say that they are very, very much aligned.
Right.
I'm going to come back to you there, Aled.
Just very quickly, the transformation programme. How many years forward are you looking with that? Because I haven't seen much evidence of long-term planning.
Currently, it was written in 2020 and it extends to 2032. But I think we're now halfway through that programme and it's time to maybe look at that again now and start to plan it even further ahead, because these things take time. The investment in schools takes time. Changes to the school infrastructure takes time. Changes in the number of schools takes time as well. But that it would be an opportunity now to have a look at that, at the strategy and the programme going forward.
So it is in the very short term when you talk about transformation, what we have plans we've seen that are on the table at the moment, the very short term, because we probably use Prohithgen as an example. It has been on the verge of being built for the last, let me think, 5-6 years. And we're more than halfway through this current council and progress seems to be slightly static. But
we have a presentation on Sustainable Communities for Learning programme and finance panel this afternoon, which will take you through that programme. You are right, our projects have been, they have had interesting journeys, let's call it that way, and we have to take account of the impact of any issues with on certain projects on the rest of the programme. So what we'll share with you this afternoon will be about how we've improved that and how we're progressing that programme to pace. So that's where I'll leave that there.
Interesting journeys. Thank you, Marianne.
Thanks, Councillor. Councillor Angela.
Yeah, sorry, Chair.
I'll stand aside because Margaret would like to speak. So if you want to bring Margaret in first, and then I'll come in after.
Before I bring Margaret in, I've got Councillor Peat wishing to make a comment, so I suppose it's relevant to this and may answer Margaret's question. Go on.
It's just a simple comment in terms of the transformation programme, in terms of schools organisation. The programme was established under the last administration with the idea of it being delivered in 3 waves. The previous administration, this administration, and the administration from 2027. I set out wave 2 of that programme when I came into post. We are on target with that. The Prestine was the final large catchment review that we were proposing in that, and that will be reporting this autumn. And then there will be time to move through the processes of school organisational code changes so that by the time we get to 2027, all of the formal works within that part of the programme will have been completed and run through the process. So yes, it is slow, but it needs to be methodical, it needs to be accurate, and it needs to take into account full consultation with the public so that everyone can have a voice in the changes that they are making. But I can say that we are running to the schedule that we were working to when I started in this role in 2022. So all I just wanted to say on that side of it. On the transformation, the build side, the environment is very challenging. We've had the Newtown primary delayed by the North Paris Wellbeing Project. We've had planning problems.
Councillor Peach is frozen there. So Margaret, I'm going to come to you.
Yeah, I mean, a tremendous amount of work has been done, and we've seen timeframes, etc. And people are working extremely hard. But from a parent's point of view, with a child in school, and the child's point of view, all this
on a
has
number of
to
the
link
applications.
to
And
the
it's really frustrating
quality
from
of what
Councillor,
is being
stop.
delivered
Just go on, carry on.
to the children. And that link always has to be there somewhere, because that's what all this is working towards, isn't it? That the quality of what's presented to the children in schools is of the best, first class quality. And that, so whatever you're doing, if you're telling parents and the public, it's got to link directly in some form, and they've got to understand the links. Why we've done all this work. All this work has been done over the summer so well, and people working closely together. But that's the end result, isn't it? That has to be highlighted.
You're absolutely
it's how
right.
much the children gain in the end.
You're absolutely right that this document needs to support the council's educational priorities. Okay, Councillor Angela.
Thank you very much, Chair. So I want to applaud our officers. I think this is a superb document. It's how I like to see a strategic document. It's just 15 pages, short and snappy, bullet points, says what we're going to do. None of the waffle that we get in a lot of huge strategic documents. My concern is really highlighted there by Margaret. How do we deliver it? How? and when do we deliver it? Because it is important, isn't it? Our school estate, and Neil, I congratulate you. I know your department have done an awful lot of work on reviewing the condition of our school buildings. And that was much needed because, let's be honest, we weren't quite sure. Individual schools knew they were falling down around their ears, but we didn't know as a council exactly what was happening within each school. That brings me on to Councillor Garrett's point. I am 100% behind him that we should have that data. Now, I understand why you're reluctant to give the school by school data of the condition of each individual building, but I'm disappointed that we haven't seen the council school estates data. So how many schools are in a serious state of, not to repair, unrepair, for want of a better word? How many have plumbing issues? How many have fire door issues? How many have? So as a school estate, I would have hoped we could have had an overview of what we're actually talking about and what the challenge is, because I'm sure it's going to be a massive challenge. And therein is my concern in how we deliver this strategic document. Because Margaret's right, at the end of the day, when our schools are falling down, and you will all be aware that my school could not run its food and fun club this summer, really, really important club for those children who need that service because of a plumbing issue. I mean, that's just not good, is it? So there is the issue. But what I want to come on to here, page 31, I'm really interested in the scoring. So I don't understand it. So this is where my question is going to lie, because presumably we're going to prioritise that work based on this scoring methodology. So can you explain to me, under the first one, health and safety, 70 plus 20 plus 10 plus 2 comes to 102. So what are we scoring out of? Or is each line independently scored out of 100? And I don't understand how very high danger to life scores 70, because in my mind, that should be red. That's a 999 call. That's blue lights and flashing alarms. That should be 100 out of 100. That's a concern. And then secondly, how a high imminent closure is only 20. That just doesn't seem high enough. So I don't understand the scoring system. So there we are. That's my question. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. We did discuss this briefly in the pre-meet in relation to the scoring. So perhaps a bit more clarification surrounding that. Marianne.
I'll ask some of my other colleagues to come in on the methodology. I was just going to come back to a point about the data, Councillor Angela. There's a whole, there's lots more data now and updated data related to our school estates. What's also changed is the categories. If you remember, category A, B, C, D. Okay, so there's a little bit of a shift there in terms of how that's presented. I can bring that to you as that data is available. We can share that level of data with you at a high level. I think what the next steps with this plan, because it's a high level strategic plan, and I appreciate your words around it being snappy. That's great. Okay, but what we need to do, this plan will now inform our program going forward, our major improvements program going forward. And that will be the level of detail that then we can share with you. So the condition data plus this plan and the methodology will all now help us shape the program going forward for the next few years. So I think once we've done that bit of work, we can then bring that back to you as a committee as well, so you can see how this shapes the implementation. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense. Thank you. I still think we should have had that data. If you have it, why couldn't we have it? But I accept your reasoning there. Thank you, Marianne.
Okay.
And in relation to the scoring card or the scoring matrix, anybody jumping in there to give us a bit of clarification in relation to that?
Would you like me to come in, Chair?
Go on, yep, Sarah.
Yeah, so they're categories. So when the team would receive a job, they would look in each of those categories. So as Councillor Angela said, are they independent of one another? So in a sense they are. So if we look at the first category, which of those lines does the school fall into? So then that would accommodate that relevant number of points, and you would go through the different categories, accumulate the points, as a score that then provides the ranking for the allocation of works and the prioritisation of works.
Yeah, I totally understand that. My question was, so very high, danger to life, 70, is that the most points that could be allocated there? It's not out of 100 or 1,000, or is
No,
it
that's
out
the
of 70?
highest. That's
So
the
it's out of
highest.
70.
I don't think it's out of 70. It's been weighted with the far greatest number of points to make sure that that is given priority over any other type of job.
It just doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand the numbers. So I just don't, I'm sorry, if somebody else, does somebody else understand the numbers? Am I being dull?
I can just, the only thing I can add there, Councillor Angela, is that this section of the plan is unchanged from the previous plan and was approved through Cabinet when the previous iteration of the plan was agreed. The scoring criteria went through quite a bit of detailed work to make sure that the individual scores allocated well to the presentation of the works. So I can't give a detailed explanation as to why 70 is for the very high danger, but we can certainly get that and bring that back to you, if that would be helpful.
Yeah, I think it would. It just makes no sense to my brain anyway, but thank you.
Yeah, we can give a short overview as to why each was chosen.
So just to develop this point a little bit further and greater understanding for ourselves. So depending on what score the school achieves, that will make the decision on prioritizing the school for refurbishment or to do that necessary work.
Absolutely. And then as you can see with that 70 for that very high health and safety concern, that would absolutely put any job in that category to the top of the list. So it was prioritised before any other works.
Yeah, but Sarah, in all due respect, so a very high danger to life score 70, but overall condition of a school, life expired.
Yes.
So expired is 10.
Yes.
That makes no sense.
I think it's prioritising the health and safety risk. But we'll get that more detailed information and bring it back for you, Councillor Angela.
Yeah. Okay, but I understand the principle and the scoring system. I'd like to see a traffic light because I'd like to see very high in red as well. I think that would.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But anyway, yeah, thank you. Sorry, thank you, Chair.
I do think we as a committee, we share Angela's concerns here. We're not really sure how the scores fit into a matrix at any point, really. We just don't see how your final score is identified. But yeah, I think Angela's expressed herself well there, really, to be fair. Okay. Neil's got his hand up, so perhaps Neil's given us a bit of help with this as well. Sorry, Neil, I didn't see your hand. Neil, you're muted.
I think what we can do, councillors, is as Sarah just said, we'll provide a short note to you, a synopsis of how this information is provided in detail, and we'll get that out to you ASAP. And it can be reviewed, of course. In respect to the school condition surveys, please note Welsh Government did change the banding as well over the last 12 months or so, 18 months. So the school bandings have changed with their condition ratings. And what we'll do, we'll send that out as well as a bit of detail for you to understand fully how that impacted. Some schools will have been moved, what we would have considered as safer band C, have moved into band B because of that change in Welsh Government policy. So we'll provide that to you for some clearer detail on that aspect.
Okay, content, Angela? Yep. Councillor Allard.
I just want to just move away from the scoring, unless Gareth has got a point on that. He wants to finish on the scoring methodology, because it is quite subjective from my view. If if you tick that box on life-threatening, you score 70, and I don't have a problem with the scoring system. It is really clear to me. But what my question is really, this program that's been conducted over the summer is sort of a snapshot in time. It's, Neil and Marianne has referred to extremely resource intensive work here, but it is a snapshot in time. How will you ensure that the level of detail and information is up to date going forward? Because that is equally resource intensive. Do you have the ability to do that, to keep things up to date? because it changes quite quickly in some cases. Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I just add on to the back of Ali's question. How do you monitor the progress as well? So that's relevant to what Ali has just asked Neil.
Shall I answer that, councillors? Two aspects from our side. We will find it difficult to, over the current resource, we've just lost our senior surveyor from the authority, chartered surveyor who managed this project for us. We have changed the team around a bit, so we will be undertaking a survey every year of every school going forward, but that's a more of a what was I say, a health and safety inspection, basic condition survey to help evaluate what's happening in the schools on a year basis, which we've never done previously. In respect of the condition surveys, once work is done, we've got a full matrix program we can put together. We've got a program there, and we can monitor that as we do the work going forward, so that we can keep the survey updates, surveys up to date then. But of course, I need the investment to be able to do that, which is the key.
Okay, thank you, Neil. Councillor Gareth.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Neil mentioned earlier that he's going to send us a spreadsheet with data on later. Would the scoring for each of the schools be in that spreadsheet, so we can actually look at that and compare that evaluation, or are we looking at each block of a school being scored separately?
I think
and then weighted based on the square meterage.
We can give you square meters of school. I think they are based on blocks, but that's the full detail. The overview sheet we've done gives you an overview of the school as a whole and not per block, for example. But we have the report we've got. The background data gives us a valuation of every single block of the school.
Yeah, and that will be contained in the data that you send around to us later today.
If I can send that, yes. I'll send you the front sheets. I think is best for now, but the back sheet is huge, and I'd have to speak to my team to see how we do that because it's so big. It's on a share folder, but I'm sure we could do that. But what I wouldn't want people to do is play with that detail.
Yeah, we only need the summary to start with, don't we?
Yeah, but we can get that out, no problem at all.
Thank you, Neil. Marianne.
Gosh, can't get off mute. I was just going to respond to the comments of how we're going to monitor progress, and I think that this is where it's sort of the governance comes in. So just to let you know, this program and all sort of supporting programs will be monitored by the Property Compliance and Operational Safety Board, which is a bit of a long-winded title. This is a board now that's chaired by Matt Perry, head of place, and has the education colleagues and property colleagues, finance colleagues on it as well, and health and safety. So this meets regularly now and will be receiving progress updates, and we'll be monitoring and tracking the work programme. There will be, you can see there's monitoring and review. Progress is monitored via, first of all, the major improvement scoring methodology, asset condition grade, so we can see how our schools are improving, whether they're changing, improving the condition grades. Energy and carbon performance, that's another one. Again, we'll be monitoring on pupil capacity and sufficiency, and we'll be monitoring that. So that's all aligned to the transformation work as well. And again, there will be the Accelerated Improvement Board will be overseeing the site safeguarding works as well, as we get to the end of that piece of work, just to give you that assurance. Okay.
Good. Thanks, Marianne. Councillor Lucy.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to ask, I might be being a bit thick here, but to me, it's not clear from the scoring whether sufficient notice is taken of the breadth of curriculum. So, for instance, science labs or engineering facilities, because those are obviously very important to individual schools, and I'm just not clear whether those are sufficiently accounted for.
Okay. Neil, you've got your hand up, but I'm not sure you were coming in on that one.
Policy Council, no, sorry. That was
Right. Anybody pick up on Lucy in relation to the individual elements such as engineering and science labs, etc.? Councillor Pete.
I'll come in with an observation rather than a definitive. The section on sufficiency is talking about the teaching space to deliver the curriculum. What we need to remember here is this is a maintenance programme, it's not a development programme. So we'll be looking at ensuring that the resources that are currently within the and fit for use. Scoring in relation to science labs, you'll be scoring them within the sufficiency section in terms of delivery of the curriculum. I see Sarah's coming in, so she's either going to back me up or offer a slightly different view.
Sarah.
Yeah, no, I was just going to add to what Councillor Pete was saying there, and just saying that they're explicitly stated so that it can be clearly seen which area of the building is being worked on, just rather than capturing it as a room. They have different requirements in terms of even if you're looking at the electricity requirements or the ventilation requirements. So it's just making sure that when the scoring is undertaken, that's appropriately referenced within that ultimate score that's generated.
Thank you, Sarah. Dr. Richards coming in as well.
Chair, I wasn't going to make a point directly to this, so you might want to go to Councillor Gareth first.
Okay, sorry, Dr. Richard. Councillor Gareth.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Just picking up on the point that Councillor Pete just made, if this is asset management plan is focused on just the maintenance, where do we find that detail around the sufficiency and the required facilities for each school, and where there's any over provision and where there's under provision? Because we need to have a complete picture. And if this is just maintenance, we're not getting that complete picture.
We can
Maria.
we can share that data with you. So you will know, Gareth. Every year we do a return to Welsh Government on our school condition and our capacity as well. So that'll be, I think we're in the process now of sending that back to Welsh Government. So that information is in public domain. We can bring that to you as well. So when we bring our condition data to you, we can bring the capacity data as well, and you can see where we are with our schools at the moment. So, okay.
Thank you. Dr. Richard.
Thanks, Chair. Just a point that we haven't raised that I would like to make is, just the importance of this work to our head teachers as well. And we are considering how we improve communication with head teachers about schedules of works in their schools. I say that because our school leaders and governing bodies are managing school communities who will be asking about works, asking about maintenance, etc. And as we know, we need to free our heads up to lead teaching and learning and be leaders in our schools. So the point about what we do with this and how we communicate it to heads and improve the communication alongside this work, I think is a really important one to make.
Yeah, no, I totally do agree, Dr. Richard, and I accept our progress is monitored, etc. But it's not just reporting to head teachers; it's reporting to stakeholders as well, so governors, communities, etc. So I think that you make a very important point there. Councillor Angela.
Yeah, thank you very much. I mean, Dr. Richard's almost taken the words out of my mouth here. On page 8 here, it talks about collaboration and community engagement, and it says the SAMP fosters collaboration between schools, the local authority, partners and the wider community, and then goes on to list. And I was pleased to read that, but I felt that we're not actually delivering on that at the moment, and for the very reasons that Gareth is making. If we're not going to share with individual schools their own condition survey, so I mean, I think schools probably know all the things that are wrong within their own schools, don't they? They're living with them every day. But I think what they need to know is they need that assurance that the local authority understands what is wrong with the school and that the local authority is working hard to try and resolve them as best we can. Therein brings me back to my first comment about this being an excellent strategic document, but how and when do we deliver on it? Because actually the condition of the buildings is impacting on our school learners. It is impacting on our ability to deliver really good teaching and learning in our schools. And that links us to our later document, doesn't it? So whilst I welcome that statement, it's not actually happening at the moment, I don't think.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Andrew. Councillor Allard and Councillor Gareth put their hands up very quickly then, so we'll take their comments before anybody makes a return comment on that, please.
And no, Angela makes really good points in what she said there. But I know we're trying to lessen the burden on the heads, but at the end of the day, there's a responsibility around health and safety on the headmaster and on the governing body. And it's extremely important. You know, we talk about communications, etc., but they're at the coalface, and whether they don't quite score highly enough in the matrix, it can be quite frustrating for them when they possibly see a different picture from the county council surveyor. So it is key that communications between Powys and the schools. Thank you, Chair.
Good. I'm going to take Councillor Gareth first and then come to you, Neil. Councillor Gareth.
Yeah, I'm just sat here thinking, Chair, whose data is this? Is this county council's data or this school's data, or is it shared data? And I would say it's shared data, but at the moment it's only shared with one party and the other parties being excluded from that data.
Okay, three very similar points there. Neil. Yeah, microphone. Neil.
You're on mute, Neil.
Keep on doing that. 2 points to raise from me really are the surveys were only really completed, or the surveys have been completed some time back, but we've only just evaluated them completely. So they're only about, the data's only been finalized just before Ken left the authority, which is about 3 weeks ago in reality, where we've got every single bit of data ready to go. So I'm prepared to release it with my management team approval. So, and I do agree with Gareth, it is shared information. It should be for the schools, head leadership teams and ourselves to share that information. I fully get that. So that's a key point for us. I also have to make the point that these are condition surveys, which are very detailed, and a lot of heads or leadership teams in schools probably don't want to see every little bit of detail that's in our reports. And that's why we did a synopsis report for every school, because detailing every classroom one with needs a wall painting or whatever else is probably not what they want to hear. They want to see the bigger picture. But I have to remind everyone, these are condition surveys at a point in time. They're also condition surveys based on not real betterment to the school. So we can improve the school, we can paint the walls, we can redo the roof, we can put solar panels on, but it's not fundamentally changing the layout of the school. So it doesn't make it necessarily make a better environment. So we haven't accounted for that in these surveys, and I just want to make that clear. These are leaving schools in the same frame, the same building, the same shape. So if this, for example, if a school hasn't got provision for a teacher to go and separate themselves and work in a room, like, as in maybe Bury U, I think we're working on at the moment, away from the learners to do their bit of marking or whatever they need to do. We haven't accounted for that. That's has to be part of the transformation of the wider service delivery of the schools, and that's not been taken account at this point.
Thanks, Neil. Councillor Andrews coming back.
Yeah, I'm really sorry, Neil, but that's slightly condescending. I don't think any of us think that this is about reconfigurating the schools. But we have schools with fire doors that don't close. My school had no plumbing over the summer. What head teachers want to know is what you're going to do about that. They know what wall wants painting. They absolutely do. And you've said that yourself. Our schools, our head teachers, our staff, and most of our governors, hopefully, know what is actually wrong with their schools. The point we are making here is that collaboration is them understanding that, or having faith that you know what's wrong with their schools and that we have a plan to address it, albeit nobody expects everything to be addressed overnight. You know, we know there's no magic wand and there's certainly no magic money tree, but that is the bit of collaboration that we're talking about here. So that was a bit, it came across a bit condescending.
I don't mean it like that, Councillor. What I'm trying to say is that we've got so much data now, and we have never had this amount of data for our schools. It's never, I've been here 18 years, we have never had this amount of data. So what we need to do now is understand how we invest in the schools with the money we've got available to us, and how we best do that, because we only have finite periods to do work in schools. As you know, we can't work in school time, school periods, learning periods. It's difficult. So we do have even though we've got a 5-year program, delivering a 5-year program, as Councillor Addy pointed out earlier, is nigh and impossible for us because of the timeframes and the resources available to us. Not just money, but for people as well, and the staff and the contractors that do this type of work. So I wasn't trying to be condescending. I apologise if it came across like that, but and we do recognise there's issues across the estate, but at least now we know what them issues are across the board, including the move to net zero across the estate as well. Schools estate being our largest estate and probably the worst performing as well. So we spend a lot of money there. So like I said, we got a lot of data, but my problem is just delivering that program and understanding what investment we've got and how we deliver that for the 5 years. We can't predict beyond 5 years because schools change.
That's going to work on.
I think the chair has frozen.
Councillor Lucy.
Grace Jones.
Peter, I think you're struggling with your problem. Hello. Is it me that's frozen and not everybody else?
Yes, Chair.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, I do apologise. Right. So we've had Neil. Councillor Pete's coming in.
Yeah, I just wanted to draw a few points out from what we're looking at today. One of the big frustrations all of us have had, and I include members from the last administration, is that we've been reliant on formula-based estimates for the maintenance backlog. We now have, as a result of these surveys, the most detailed record of the state of all of our schools, and that's going to take some time to absorb and move forward with. We've heard from Neil today that the high-level information can be shared, and I'm really pleased to hear that. And I hope that can be achieved at some relative speed. But I think there will be benefit here, and I ask you to consider this, in looking at a much deeper dive into the common themes that are coming through in our schools estate, with what programs need to be looked at and what investment profile is actually needed in the short, medium and long term to bring the estate that we have up to a level that will deliver the service. And that is something I don't think any of us have had the opportunity to look at before. I think that is a really positive outcome. And I've also, on behalf of the committee, asked Marianne to come up with a couple of worked examples from some of the work that has been completed, so that when you get the information today, you'll have some worked examples of how the scoring matrix has been used in prioritising work that has been completed this year during the summer period and works that didn't quite make the cut-off. So I hope that's helpful to you.
Thank you, Councillor Pete. Councillor Gareth.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Just to correct the point, I think Neil maybe, he said the schools was the largest estate. Surely housing is the largest estate for the authority?
Apologies. I mean, in my corporate estate.
Yeah, but I think we just need to clarify that.
Yeah.
All right. All clarified. Councillor Gareth. Councillor Allard, sorry.
Thank you, Chair. I go back to the strategic objectives again, and today's discussion has descended into the snapshot of what's happened at the moment. The more important work going forward is how this feeds into the strategic objectives over the next 10, 15, 20 years, and how that influences the decision making around the structure of the school's estate. So again, it comes back to the vision around the schools. But just a quick point, we're setting up a joint working group between education, learning and skills and finance panel. This sort of information is vital to feed into that as well when it comes to this around the financial sustainability of our school estates and having that longer view. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Councillor Allard. Marianne.
Yeah, just to say, I should have noted at the beginning that it is a draft strategic asset management plan at the moment, and you're the first input we've had to it. We will be sharing it with other stakeholder groups now and with the head teacher groups over the next few weeks before we then finalise the plan. And I think there's a lot of the feedback from you is really pertinent, and we will take account of it and revise it and revise the plan accordingly. We will make sure that we have that planned programme, and then you can see what that looks like, and also how it all links in with all the other data that we're pulling together in terms of our schools as well. So just to say, diolch yn fawr, thank you for your points this morning.
Thanks, Marianne. We need to give that really good consideration when we come up with recommendations, really. Councillor Angela.
Yeah, I was just sort of thinking further on Alad's point there. I think what you're saying there is, when we look at Powys as a county, the whole geography of it, where should and would the schools be if you were to look at the demography and topography and geography and demographics moving forward for our schools? And I just wonder, is that something that we do? And clearly we've got schools in the positions geographically located where they are, but is there a way to fit, you know, if in an ideal world sort of thing? Do we look at where they should and would be if we could choose it and try and work towards that in a long-term programme? Or is it an ever-shifting tide of information?
Yes.
Neil, I'm coming
from
to
my
you.
point of view.
You've had a hand up for some time now. I'm not sure if it was a legacy or whatever, but I'm coming to you for comment, Neil. Oh no, he's disappeared.
Apologies, Councillor. I'm used to being on Teams. It goes down normally.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely fine. Yeah, no, I think Alex and Angela's points are well made. Yeah. We seem to have exhausted questions. I've got a couple of myself. What happens to the plan when emergency infrastructure works pop up, or climate related things which happen to our schools, flooding, etc., etc.? What happens to the plan then? Is there a contingency plan within the plan to deal with that? Go on, Neil.
I think for our part, we do make commitments to move projects around if we do have emergencies. For example, Trowen School in over the last 8 months or so had a major incident with an oil leak at the school, which we've been working with to get that resolved. So we've had to move budgets around. So we do that within the service area, but the larger transition, I think, sits with Marianne and the school service transformation service about how we would move things around if we had a huge disaster. It doesn't sit with my service area.
Okay, thank you. Councillor David, Portfolio for Finance is coming in.
Thank you, Chair. Just a very brief observation with regard to Councillor Alad's comments around the working group that's been set up between Learning and Skills and Finance panel. I think let's not lose sight of the fact that when we're talking about financial sustainability, that anything that does come out of that working group, or indeed any recommendations that are put forward with regard to any capital expenditure, it has to sit within the confines of ensuring financial stability for the authority as a whole. And I'd hate to lose sight of that, but certainly, you know, I think it's a positive move, the working group, and I'm sure that they'll be beneficial to financial sustainability within the authority. But I just wanted to make that point, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor David. Are we content that we've covered everything within this document now? Good. I'm moving on to the next agenda item, which is recommendations as a result of our discussions today. It's item 6 on your agenda. So I'd like us to draw up some recommendations or observations, perhaps is a better word, in relation to our discussions this morning. Anybody like to suggest some observations which may add to this document moving forward? Councillor Gareth.
Yeah, I think we should thank officers for the production of the asset management plan, Chair, and that it's a good skeleton to start with, but it now needs to be fleshed out with that detail around the individual schools. And I think it'd be good that we have a timeline for when that information is going to be delivered to the schools. at the start, I asked Marianne a question which wasn't answered, which was around the details of the next steps. And the asset management plan, in my mind, also needs to include targets which aren't there. You know, how can we measure the success of the asset management plan if there's no targets set in the plan to start with?
Okay, so a recommendation in relation to timeline and targets.
Yeah.
Yep. Councillor Allard.
Just to, when I talked about this, a snapshot in time should be a live document, and it needs to be kept up to date. And the concerns around whether there's the resource to do that to a significant level. It sounded as though it was going to be just potentially a desktop exercise every year, but you know, we've got to ensure that Neil Clutton and his team have the resources to deliver on that. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, it's a fair comment. I think we've been given assurance today, but I think we need to make a recommendation around that the plan needs to be take into account or run side are aligned with any school organization or school transformation moving forward. It should be aligned with that. We've had assurances today, but I think it would be good to make the recommendations surrounding that. Councillor Kath.
Hello, Chair. We've got traffic light system. It's one that Councillor Angela raised, whether a traffic light system for a scoring matrix and to ensure that the condition and capacity.
Can you start that again? You were breaking up a little bit, please.
Okay. We've got traffic light system in a scoring matrix.
Yeah.
And to go align with the targets and then condition and capacity data to be shared.
Yeah, is everybody content with them, adding them to recommendations? Councillor Gareth.
Yeah, just to add to that, Chair, we did also have a discussion around the sufficiency data.
Yeah, we're making notes of that. Anything else to add there, Kath? No? Okay. Is everybody content with them recommendations?
Can we have a raise of hands, please? Be that virtual or...
Yeah, everybody sticking their hands up to accept them recommendations. Yep, there's a few online and there's a few with hands up. Thank you.
Thank you all.
We think that's unanimous. Okay, so we move back to our agenda now, which is our work program, item 7 on the agenda. Again, a little bit of a new format to this, makes it a bit clearer and a better understanding what is on our work program. We've obviously spoke about 2 items today, which we will have to add to this work program at some point. Any comments in relation to what has been created so far?
Chair, can I just raise that, no, 12 months ago, or about 12 months ago, Simon came and gave us a presentation around the ALA and SEN strategy. Do we need to have an update on that progress?
I think you're absolutely right there. In relation to stage 3, really, wasn't it, of that program?
Yeah, you know, it's the one concern that is raised with me all the time by parents, governors, etc.
Okay, I think it's a valid point. We'll look to be getting that into our work program at some point when we've had discussions with officers then, yeah?
Simon's got his hand up, Chair.
All right, okay. Again, it's my one screen there. Simon.
Sorry, Councillor. Yeah, absolutely. More than happy and would welcome all of your comments and feedback as well. So that'd be great if we could.
So as far as you're concerned, Simon, sooner rather than later?
Well, we're in the process of collating all of the information and putting together options papers. So I think within the next couple of months would be good. Yeah, please.
Okay then. Yeah. We'll put that into our program then when we can then, please. Thank you, Councillor Gareth.
Thank you.
That's a good reminder, and you, Simon. Thank you. Anything else in relation to the work program?
Just that the one around the schools forum work needs to come sooner rather than later. Obviously, it needs to be once they've completed the work.
what was that? The funding formula, Gareth?
Yeah, the funding formula.
Yes, yeah. You're absolutely right there. Okay, if everybody's content, I'm moving on from the work programme. Item 8 on the agenda is an exempt item in relation to item 9 on your agenda. I'd like to have some discussion around this in relation to why we need to go into confidential session. Gareth, please express your feelings on this.
Yeah, I see no reason why we need to go to confidential. There's nothing there that relates to an individual school or to an individual learner. I understand that the results data is only can be subject to change, but I suspect they're not going to change that much. So I would actually propose that we do not go into confidential motion for this item, and that we actually keep it as an open public meeting for it.
Is there anybody within the meeting to advise differently on that? Sarah.
I can come in around the journey that the data makes, if that would be helpful, Chair.
Yes, please do.
So obviously it's issued to schools during the summer break. At the moment, the schools will now be moving into a formal verification process. So they line by line review their data and they have to resubmit that to the Welsh Government. It is only as we move into January that the Welsh Government will be publishing any Key Stage 4 qualifications, for example. So it's similar to the PLASC journey. There is a collection point, there is a verification point, and then there's a publication point.
Okay, I understand what you're saying, Sarah. Before you come in, Dr. Richard, I'm just going to say, somewhat in agreement with Councillor Gareth, that we're not compromising anybody or any school in relation to any of that information which is supplied in the documents. So is there a need for confidentiality? Dr. Richard?
You're on mute, Dr. Richard.
Thanks so much, Chair. I do think there's a challenge in the fact that the data is unverified. So the national data is unverified, the Powys data is unverified. So we are using data which is potentially going to change in the future. There are parts of the report which are our own observations from our school improvement advisors and the outcomes of Estin, which I think we can confidently place in the public domain. But I do think, having taken advice on this, that publishing unverified data is challenging.
Okay, I'm in your hands, committee.
But sorry, Chair, but clearly if we recognise and state that it's unverified data and make that clear in the minutes, then I see no reason why we shouldn't discuss it in the public. And I would propose that we continue, that we discuss it in the public.
Councillor Jeff.
I'm happy to second
that. Chris.
Thank you, Chair. I think it's probably the other thing we're meant to only comment publicly on publicly available data, and the data which is held on my local school. The data we're talking about here isn't the sort of data which gets published on my local school. So it would just be, that's another further consideration into why this should be a private session.
Councillor Allard.
Thank you, Chair. I would agree with officers at this point. I don't think we should go into public session. We're really keen to get this sort of information at an earlier stage as possible. And if that means in the confidential session, that's good. But if we had to wait until it was publicly available, we'd be waiting much, much longer for that. And there'd be a reluctance of officers to bring information to us. So I think we should go into confidential session and take this argument away and have it with the monitoring officer, this argument with the monitoring officer before the next meeting, or before we look at such data again. Thank you. So I propose that we do go into confidential session.
Thank you. Councillor Angela.
Well, as much as I hate to admit it, I agree with Councillor Allard really there, but I am minded that when we had our audit meeting as chairs of governors, they were very concerned about the amount of sessions that we have here in Powys in private session, and I. Yeah, I agree with Alid in that if it means we get the data sooner, that's good from a scrutiny perspective. But I also agree with Councillor Gareth. There's just nothing here that is of any in-depth, detailed information that's going to cause any harm anywhere. Difficult one.
Councillor Pete.
I'm torn on this one, but I do fall on the same view as Councillor Alid. Officers are bringing forward this information far sooner than I can ever remember it coming forward in my entire time within the council. And they're doing so off the back of support from the schools community in terms of sharing information and sharing it in a safe environment. And I am worried that if we go public with this too soon, we will come in for criticism from the schools community, both more locally and potentially more nationally. I think there is something that needs to be explored here for the longer term. And I agree with the suggestion that there is a discussion needed with the monitoring officer and for the monitoring officer potentially to have with Welsh Government, such that a set of provisional information can be released as soon as possible on the basis that it is completely provisional, because we know from the press there's already documents out there showing the results from individual schools, but it's all based on unofficial and in many cases unverified sources. So regrettably, I hate to say it because there's a lot in here I would like to say in public, but I think we do need to go into private session on this occasion.
Councillor Sue.
I agree with Councillor Aled, Chair. I think this is one point that we should take back to the monitor officer, let him give us some advice on this. We criticised enough as it is. We don't want to do anything else to have another criticism. So let's take it back to the monitoring officer.
Following the pre-meeting the other day, I did write to the monitoring officer, and as yet I have not a reply, so I can't actually add to that really. So, Councillor Gareth.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. And can I thank Chris for his the comments he's made around having that verified data and my school, etc. So I accept that, and I think, yep, happy to discuss the results in confidential session. But this paper's got 3 sections to it. I see no reason why we can't discuss the section on Estin and the section on attendance in public, and then go into confidential to discuss the results. And perhaps in future we should have 2 separate papers.
Thanks, Councillor Gareth. Okay. We've come to an interesting stall marker here, really, because we've got a proposer and a seconder to go to not go into confidential and also into.
Well, I'm happy to withdraw my proposal that we don't go into confidential for the whole paper, Chair, but I still think we should not go into confidential for the section on the Estin and the attendance, unless an officer wants to correct me around the attendance.
Okay, that's a great suggestion, but that would mean a rewriting of the documents.
Well, let's take a 5 minutes break. They can copy and paste. It takes 2 minutes, doesn't it?
I understand your desire, but obviously the publication of documents is the problem, isn't it? Kath.
Yes, Chair. I was just thinking the agenda was set a week ago, published, and this document has not been put in the public arena because we were advised it was a confidential item. That therefore separating parts of it out, I think, may cause some issues, and it may be something we have to bring back to the monitoring officer for the future. It was highlighted with education, and obviously you've written to the monitoring officer yourself, and as yet we've had no response.
Chair, could I suggest another compromise then? Because I've spoken to a legal officer this morning on another matter and just raised this. If we discuss it as confidential, if when the data is then verified, the comments and the meeting from the comments and the minutes from this meeting are then made public.
No.
Subject to the monitoring officer's approval.
Would everybody be content with that suggestion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good suggestion, Chair, and that allows us to proceed here today, because I don't think we want to delay this. The figures
No.
are there and we're keen to look at them, aren't we?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Thank you very much. Item 7 on your agenda. Can I have a proposal that we go into confidential session, please?
I'm happy to propose, Chair.
And a seconder?
Yeah.
Sorry, Chair, who's second then?
Alid or Lucy?
Come on, somebody stick your hand up.
Lucy stuck her hand up, Chair.
Thank you. Right, so we're going into confidential item.
Is the committee all in agreement? Please,
Yes,
if we
we
can
are.
have a raise of hands.
Yes, we are. Go on, raise your hands. Right,
Thank you.
we'll terminate the recording and we'll go into item 9 on the agenda.